welcome back to episode number 4 of our franchise success series. Number 4 up is Richard Cullen, Dublin-based franchise owner. Richard, welcome to the show.
Morning, Barry. How are you?
I'm very good this afternoon. So no pressure, Richard. We've gone through Tom, we've gone through Kevin, and we've also spoke to Rory yesterday. So can't wait. It's going to be a 10 to 15 minute discussion on your career in Action Coach so far, your journey, and looking forward to talking to you, Richard. Let's kick off your professional background, Richard. You joined Action Coach. You're just coming up to 16 years, I believe. What an innings! But you might tell us about your background prior to joining Action Coach first.
Sure, yeah. I started working with an American multinational at 1985. And then over about 20 years, gradually worked my way up in technical sales, business development, supplier management, across 3 different large organizations. Loved the experience of working internationally, loved meeting lots of different people around the world, got to travel the world, done in many different countries. It learned a huge amount. What I did find though was all that traveling, especially after 9/11, it just got to be very tiring. And also going up the corporate ladder wasn't really where I wanted to be. So back 2006, I started looking what kind of set up my own business, what kind of business would I want to run, and that's where I stumbled across Action Coach.
And in terms of, you mentioned the corporate world and your background in corporate, in terms of coaching, what was it that motivated you to become a business coach, first and foremost?
Great, yeah, good question. Back, I think it was probably about 2003, I started coaching kids in rugby. One of those dads on the sidelines who, just offered to help and got involved in it, and that was kind of the first experience. And then coaching as a management tool started coming to the corporates, and I started doing a coaching course to develop and learn the skills, and started applying a little bit of that with the kids. And with kids at 7 or 8 years old, you'll have the kids who are good at sport, who with a little bit of coaching keep getting better. But mostly you've got probably 80% of the kids who don't really want to be there, especially in February when it's horizontal rain coming across. So what I found in coaching kids is helping them to actually start enjoying being part of the team and in the group, and enjoying developing skills. And once we started getting good at that, it's amazing how a small club like we were started beating the bigger clubs and winning trophies, because they were all working together and working for each other. So that as an experience has lived with me for the last 16, 17, 18 years, of the power of coaching, working with people. Yeah,
that's interesting. We might have a sports segment later on, Richard. We can talk all about Leinster rugby and your passion for golf, but I'm really interested. That's the coaching side. But talk to us about Action Coach and how, as a franchise, how did that stand out at the time to you?
Yeah, I got asked this question, with all your corporate experience, why wouldn't you go do this yourself and set up your own business yourself? Why buy a franchise? Yeah. And since then, as I've talked to people who are interested in buying the franchise, what's so great about it? And there's a few straightforward answers I'd give. And one is, when you've got the power of 1,000 coaches who are all inputting into the system to keep improving it, keep adding tools and training videos and templates, and the power of that is just immeasurable. What it would take somebody to set up a coaching practice from scratch, with all the resources that we have now behind us, they just couldn't do it. So that would be one reason. another reason would be the power of the community, the conferences we get to attend, the great people around the world that we get to meet, the ongoing learning and development. But one of the big ones for me, and it's the same with my clients as well, is when we come together as a group, when there's people who are ahead of you, who are doing better than you, it challenges, what's possible. It challenges me to keep improving. When there are people who are behind, not doing so well, it gives a boost of confidence. Actually, I'm doing okay. I'm doing well. I'm getting this, especially in the early days in coaching, when we're really trying to figure out how to be a really good coach and a top coach and help businesses. So confidence and building confidence is important. So having that dynamic in these environments is, you can't get that working for yourself and by yourself.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because it did come up in the other 3 videos so far with our other partners, Richard. Just I suppose the system and the constant, I suppose the numbers in the Action Coach community and how it's developed. In terms of the impact, though, and this is I'm interested about this, the impact this had on you, but not just you, your family. Talk us through how Action Coach has helped you and your family so far.
It helped me and my family. Well, I suppose the last 16 years I've been able to sustain a standard of living that was comparable with being employed in a large corporate. But even more importantly is able to do it in a lot less time per week. When you work in a corporate, the weeks can be 60-hour weeks, especially with global responsibility. I could be on calls with Asia in the morning and the US at night, so the day got stretched, or I could be traveling. There was times when I would have flown to America for meetings, come home for the weekend, and then fly back to America for meetings. So I didn't miss out on kids' rugby training or whatever it was. So now to be able to, I effectively work a 4-day week, 3 to 4 day week, and earn a good living. So that hugely improves quality of life. But I think it's even more than just the family, the friends that I've made, the clients that I get to work with, the impact that they have. When start working with some small businesses where the owners don't take holidays, they don't have time for their hobbies, they don't have time really to spend with their family, they're flat out. And working with them and getting to the point where their quality of life improves, that challenges me, because I've got clients now who go on large cycles or raise money for charity, or are spending more time on holidays and going to great places for holidays.
Sure, yeah.
That has a reciprocal effect that it just makes it much more fun to work with them. And so the quality of life certainly has gone up. Don't have to work as hard to earn as much money. And one of the things that I would say to any of the clients that I work with is, if you could earn twice as much and work half the amount of time, is that worth figuring out how to do?
More time for golf, more time for rugby, Richard. Just it is interesting. Just you mentioned about your passion for helping your clients. In terms of the success stories, I mean, we've heard the story of Bevan Mann, for example, dental tech. But from your perspective, what has been your greatest client success story? Interested to hear this.
Oof. I don't know. There's quite a few now over 16 years.
It's hard to single out one.
Well, yeah, there's a few. One client, Mark, who third generation business, and he did not like being the managing director of the business, but felt he had to because it was a family business and he wanted to keep it going and keep it sustained. But through the coaching process, we found actually his real passion was charity work. And by getting him to become the chairman of the business and put in a managing director who was much better at it than him, he's raised more money for charity than and enjoying it and getting to do what he loves. But the business has actually thrived more because it's not been limited by his expectations, and they've grown phenomenally since I've been post me working with them. So that was a great change to see. Other clients where they've merged with a larger organization. So they built it to a point where it was attractive to a larger organization. And they could extract some of the wealth back out of what they created in the business. So, the success stories like that. But I think the biggest one for me is, and this goes back to the story of the kids in rugby. You had the 10 to 20% who were going to be successful at rugby and do well at it at a level. But it was the 80% who weren't enjoying it, weren't doing well. And that's, I take that with the same with the SMEs, that they're not necessarily going to be absolute all-stars. But when they come up to a level where they're really loving and enjoying their business and it's fun again, that the impact that has is transformational. And every single one of them would say the pride that they have in having a business that has created jobs, sustainable jobs, where people have been able to buy their first car or get married or buy a house and have kids and put money aside for pensions or whatever. Like they've created all of that. They've enabled all of that. Yeah.
Is the key then, Richard, because it did come up on the call with Tom, to really find out, because success is different to every business owner, and is the key to really find out very quickly what success is like for them and to tap into that. Is that the idea? Is that where you start?
It certainly is. It's through the tools and that we've got is there's a questioning process we go through to uncover, as part of the alignment, what is it they want out of business, what they want out of life. However, those usual first answers are their expectations are set by their current circumstances, and as those current circumstances change, their expectations then also change. So the coach's role is to keep pushing and to see how much further can they go, how much further do they want to go. And quite often, as the business gets to work without them more, most of my clients, whether that's get involved in doing more charity work or expand the business or take on another business, they have bigger goals.
And it's just interesting because finding out what success looks like for them. I remember when we were at our annual dinner last year, and I had a conversation with yourself, and you mentioned about the relationship from the start. So and retention, and talk to us about retention and how because you have a very good record at getting clients but also retaining them. Talk to us about that.
I think the average time clients typically stay is about just over 2 years. But I've got clients 10, 12 years. So I think the average for my clients at the moment is 3.5, 4 years or something like that. And it is that transformation that they go through. So there's certain results that are got in improving the business, improving the finances of the business, better marketing, solving some team issues and challenges. But I think as some of those get fixed, the relationship does move on to what's next for the business. And let's look at 5-year planning and what needs to change and transform in the business over 5 years, rather than, and the same in sports. Some of the sports coaches that I admire, they're there for a long term. It's not just get a result, move on. It's how do you win multiple trophies? How do you win multiple awards? And how do you develop the next batch and crop of players to come in? So with the clients that I work with, a real community starts to build out of it. We were actually out last Friday for a planning session, and that turned into dinner, that turned into a few drinks afterwards. So
as you do,
and in Ireland from 10 o'clock in the morning until 2:30, and then that next day.
Brilliant. So, no, that's So, and it's that culture piece as well that, to build that, to expand, I suppose, to use the Action Coach culture and try to get our clients to really take that on as well. So, it's really interesting to hear you saying that. In terms of advice, because you've been here, as I said, you've had a good innings so far. New coaches joining the franchise. Tell us about the support that Action Coach has given you, and I suppose advice also for business owners coming into Action Coach. How has the franchise supported you, and what advice would you give new coaches joining the business?
Well, one of the things we're taught very early on is the system works. So why would you mess around with it? And part of the system is how to bring clients on, how to get them started. So follow the system. That's what you paid for. That's what you've invested in as a franchisee or as a coach. So embrace it. Don't overthink it. Don't overguess it. Just enjoy it. And some of the most successful coaches in Action Coach, their experience, they didn't necessarily have experience in sales, so they didn't feel confident, but they just followed the system and ended up becoming successful in bringing on clients. So that would be, and the community and the support that comes from the community. Guys, we tend not to ask for help too easily. I love working with female entrepreneurs and female-run businesses because they really embrace the help. The culture that they create of helping each other in the business can be quite different to a male, especially a male-dominated business. And I think there's a lot we can learn from how those businesses and female-led businesses can work. So, a typical guy, I wouldn't have asked for as much help probably as I needed. Might not have noticed that I needed help, but it was always there. And any of the times, the conferences or getting together with another coach, there was always something to learn and to work and improve. So that support is there. But so most of the learning that I really get is actually by teaching, because I'm teaching other businesses and other business owners and some of their team members on how to get better at what they do and how to do less with or do more with less in less time. I learn more myself.
Fantastic. Future for Richard Cullen, an Action Coach. Richard Cullen, the Action Coach. Tell us what the future brings, Richard. What's your goal now?
Getting on a little bit in years now, and the reality is I don't feel like I ever need to retire from this. I can keep doing this for as much time as I want to, for as long as I want to, because there's always going to be help needed out there. What is it? In Ireland, there's 10,000 businesses start every year, right? So there's a huge number of people out there who've started a business, never done a business management course, quite often have no idea what they're really doing, stumbling the way through. And if they look for help and want help, the help is out there. And I'll certainly be around to help as many as I can.
Fantastic, Richard. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you for episode number 4 of the Franchise Success Series. We still have more to come. And listen, best of luck. And I hope Leinster keep doing the business for you. You're a big supporter, I believe.
Thanks, Barry. Yep.
Thanks,
didn't
Richard.
quite get the trophies this year, but there's always next year.
Absolutely. Great talking to you, Richard. Enjoy it.